I'm Josh Bakey, Policy Editor for Farm Progress, and joining me today is USDA Undersecretary for Farm Production and Conservation Richard Fordyce. In this role, he oversees the Farm Service Agency, which administers USDA's commodity programs as well as various farmer assistance initiatives. Today, he's going to give us an update on a couple of those FSA programs. Thanks for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Josh. Good to be with you.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. So I guess let's start with base acres. As many people are aware, last year's One Big Beautiful Bill Act authorized USDA to add up to 30 million base acres to the ARC and PLC programs. When do you anticipate announcing how those acres are going to be allocated?
That is a great question. We get that question quite a bit, from farmers when I travel around, even from folks on the Hill. And one of the things that we needed to do before we could allocate the additional 30 million acres is do what we called a history dig. And that's exactly what it is. We had to go back into history from 2019 to 2023 and determine what crops were planted and if they were planted in those years. And so that work is, I'm going to say it's complete. I mean, there may be a few stragglers we're still trying to finish up, but that work is well on its way to being completed or is complete. Once we have that universe of acres, then we have another decision to make, and that is it 30 million or is it more than 30 million? Or is it 30 million or less, or is it 30 million or more? If it's more, we're going to have to prorate those acres. And I've been asked a number of times about that. How are you going to do that? Are you going to do that by crop? You're going to do that by geography? And it'll be an even proration across crops, across geography, and it'll be 100% equal and fair. And then once we have done that, and that's going to be soon. Once we've done that, then we'll be notifying landowners of the additional base acres, if they have any, on their farm.
Okay. And what'll farmers need to potentially, or eligible farmers need to do to participate in this program? Is it going to be similar to how you rolled out the bridge payments with a lot of online availability for farmers who prefer to do business that way?
Well, interestingly, if a farm has additional base acres that come to the farm, there will be a notification sent, and this is important too, Josh. It's going to be sent to the landowner. We've got a lot of farmers that lease land. Probably almost every farmer, frankly, leases land, and the base acre notification will be going to the landowner. And so what I've been encouraging, operators to do is, make their landlord aware that this notification is probably coming. The only thing a landowner has to do is, if they don't want the additional base acres, they have 90 days after notification to opt out. If they want to receive those additional base acres, which I am sure most people would,
right?
There's nothing they have to do.
Okay, so basically, don't do anything unless you don't want it. You'll be informed, and so not a whole lot of work. Just kind of keep an eye out for that notification from. All right.
Yep.
And just to clarify, this is still intended to go into effect for the 2026 crop year. Is that correct?
It is. It is. So once we have those additional base acres allocated out across the country, then we'll initiate sign up for ARC and PLC for the 26 crop. And so, folks are going to probably have a pretty good idea of what crop to put in what program. But when we do that, it'll be late summer, early fall when we initiate sign up for ARC and PLC for 26. As a reminder, the 25 crop, the operator will get the higher of the program. So if it were better to have corn in ARC or soybeans in PLC or whatever, they will get the higher of the options for the 25 crop. So the crop that's already harvested, and is already harvested. The sign up will be for the 26 crop that's being planted now, or probably is planted now.
Okay, good to know. Now, Another program I know you and the people of FSA have been hard at work on is the Specialty Crop Farmers Program, or I'm sorry, the Assistance for Specialty Crop Farmers Program. For those who don't recall, this was a $1 billion program announced by Congress last year to specifically offer relief for specialty crop producers. It's similar to the $11 billion bridge payment program that when it was implemented earlier this year. Now, as I understand it, I believe applications ended last month, and now eligible producers are just waiting to hear back from USDA. Is that where we stand right now?
Yeah. So the what we had asked producers to do was very similar to what we had done with the farmer bridge assistance, and we're gonna pay by the acre. So we needed those producers to go into their local FSA office and do an acreage report. A lot of those are done, but it's there's places where they're not as historically likely to do an acreage report. So we left that window open for a good bit of time for folks to do that acreage report. That is complete. We are now working with the chief economist's office, the agriculture marketing service, along with the farm service agency to develop those payment rates by crop. We hope to have an announcement here soon on what those payment rates are going to look like. Soon, so very soon. And then folks will be able to, and we're hoping to do it very similarly as we did with the farmer bridge assistance, where the applications will actually be pre-populated. We already have the acres, we have the crop, and we have the payment rates. So we will be putting those in pre-populated forms. So yeah, very excited to announce that program, and hopefully that'll be really soon when we're able to do that.
Okay. And just kind of, I remember we chatted about this a couple of months ago, and this is a pretty massive undertaking for you, right? Because you were talking about 200 something different crops, not a lot of historical data that you're trying to dig into all this, basically in the last 6-7 months here. Anything stick out to you on what you discovered that maybe just the FSA, USDA weren't aware of before? Or
I don't know that we discovered anything new, Josh. One of the things, though, that would be helpful in another situation like this is if specialty crop farmers, became more accustomed to doing an annual acreage report, or we have reporting deadlines at different times throughout the year, depending on the crop and when it's planted, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I don't know if there's other programs coming. Like, I truly do not know. But if there are, probably it would require an acreage report. I'm just, if they're done, then the sign up can happen faster and quicker. That was the big thing. And then the other thing is, with the farmer bridge assistance, we had a lot of data. A lot of data on price, a lot of data on cost of production. We had access to a lot more data than we do with specialty crops. And I think what compounds that is there are just so many, and they're in different categories: tree nuts, vegetables, fruits, and so better data sets, maybe a different reporting system, and then folks doing acreage reports.
Gotcha. Well, you kind of touched on something. The last question I wanted to ask you is, you're finally getting these programs announced last year out the door, and already we're hearing talk of maybe another assistance program coming this year. I've heard numbers thrown around, 15, 20 billion potentially coming in a bill sometime before mid to late summer. Just curious if you can tell us anything about the conversations you've had with lawmakers and other ag industry advocates about implementing another program later this year.
Well, I mean, we are hearing probably the same things that you all are hearing. The House, I think they've got a number. I think the Senate has a number or a range that they think that they ought to be in. If we are ever asked, anything about implementation of something or the administration of something, we'll answer those questions. But we do not weigh in on those conversations, nor do we try to influence them. That's Congress's role to do that. So But if they ask us questions to support decisions or whatever, certainly we'll help them where we can if we have any information to share.
Sure. Fair enough. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time, and best of luck to you getting all this rolled out. Sounds like never a dull moment there.
It is not a dull moment. Josh, it's always good to see you. It's always good to visit with you, and be looking forward to the next time we can chat.